What's going on, everybody? My name's Paul. Thank you for joining me here at All In today. So today we're going to be doing our fourth week of horror homework. We are into it now. Me and Skeleton Dan have been going over all of our horror knowledge. We've been sitting back here thinking, like, what have we not already talked about, and what is most important now that we're getting so close. Next week is Halloween, guys. We are almost there. This is the last full week of this season, so it's got to be something good. But it can't just be the same thing over and over and over. You know, Skeleton Dan, his brain is very small. As you can see, he's got a small head, small brain. You know, he's probably gonna get mad about me saying that a little bit later on. But I'm the same way. You know, so I've been thinking about it, and I've been asking you guys to read a whole lot, and that's pretty difficult, just because we only have so much time in our day. You know, it takes a lot for us to dedicate to books, to dedicate to stories and stuff like that. In this day and age, it's a lot easier to listen to things. I can sit here and do something while I'm washing dishes, while I'm in the shower. I can put something on while I'm just sitting here on the couch relaxing. I can put something on and kind of zone out and not have to think about my day too hard. I'm not physically having to do anything. I'm not having to play games. I'm not having to read books. I'm not having to give too much of myself to this. And so I want to focus on something, on things that will give you a lot of horror that you can get a lot out of, that doesn't ask a lot of you. You don't have to give a lot of your brain power. You don't have to strain your eyes with all of this. This is just something you can relax with. And it's also, honestly, with my day-to-day job, what I do a lot of is I listen to things. I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that, reviews and just stuff like that. And so this is stuff that as I'm older, and as I have to work, and I'm busy. I'm busy just like you guys. I know you guys have a lot to do. You have homework to do. You have lives that you have to do. You have chores. You have work. You are busy people. And I don't think I've respected that so far. So I want to respect how busy we are as a culture nowadays. And with that, I think that podcasts and like scary music and stuff like that, I think that is something that should be celebrated in these days. Now, the first thing I'm going to be popping off with isn't music. But it's not anything you have to read or anything like that. It's actually something I wanted to give a shout out to, that I had just stumbled across last week, and man, I have fallen down a rabbit hole. Also, my hair is still scary. I've got to get a haircut. I'm just so lazy, and it's so hard to find time. Like my bangs are still everywhere, and my hair is just getting so long, and it's still so hot. It's October. It should be so much cooler than what it is, but it's so hot, and I'm always so sweaty because of this mop that I have on top of my head. But maybe that's what I should do. Maybe instead of wasting all my time with all this horror stuff, maybe I should take care of myself one day. Maybe one day I should just treat myself. Take Skeleton Dan out. Well, he really can't get a haircut, can he? I guess he could get his head polished or something like that. And he doesn't have fingernails, so he can't go out for mani and pedis. But maybe he can get his bones polished. But last time I went out and tried to get his bones polished, the people at the massage parlor threw me out. They said, we don't do that here. They said something about no happy endings. I was like, look, I'm just trying to get my bones polished here. And they wouldn't do it. And then my girlfriend found out, and she got all mad that I was going off somewhere trying to get bones polished. And it was a whole thing. So maybe we'll get one of those do-it-yourself mani and pedi kits. Yeah, that might actually be pretty nice. At least a haircut. Forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, horror homework. Anyways, so I actually stumbled across somebody. They're a YouTuber called Graveyard Shift. I know that's kind of weird, a YouTuber talking about another, YouTuber, but this is I'm on YouTube, and I love YouTube. Same thing with like Twitch and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of it because of the look at my hair. Look at it. It's just like, it's so crazy. I've got to get a haircut. I've got to get a haircut. it's always in my eyes, and I'm like constantly having to swoosh it. It's just so annoying, man. It's so aggravating. Anyways, this guy named Graveyard Shift, he is actually a smaller YouTuber, which kind of caught me off surprise, kind of caught me by surprise, caught me off guard, because it's so well done. Like, his content is so good. It's on another level from some of the, like I said before, I listen to a lot of YouTubers who just, they tell these scary stories and stuff like that. There's not a lot of stuff going on in the background. Like, you kind of just turn it on and walk away. It's more of a podcast style. They don't really have a lot of animations or anything like that going on. But he does. All of his stories, specifically his Dead Time story collection. His YouTube channel is called Graveyard Shifts. But he has a playlist specifically called Dead Time Stories. It's usually like 5 stories or so, like 5 pretty short horror stories that is told, and it's supposed to be like real, things that actually happen to people, and it's animated. And a lot of these horror stories, I think maybe a couple of them I might have heard, from other places, but most YouTubers just go to Reddit. They go to Let's Not Meet. They go to, No Sleep, stuff like that. But this guy, he seems to get a bunch of original stuff. He reaches out to his fan base and stuff like that. He scours the internet for these scary stories. He's not just going to Reddit and, getting these stories that everybody else has heard 100,000 times. And I really respect that, and everything he's done so far is just so good. And and his voice just lends to the creepy factor of it. His narration and the sound of his voice just very much lends to the terror of these stories. And I really just I think it's top notch. Like I said before, I can't believe he's not bigger than what he is, because horror YouTube is a big thing. There's a lot of people that have made their whole YouTube careers on nothing but telling scary stories and stuff like that. And he's been around for a little bit, and like I said, I went back and looked, and like some of his videos are like mine. Like, they only get like 5,000, 1,000 views tops. Pretty small time, which is honestly criminal for that, because he is so good that I really hope that I see him blow up, because I hate for him to go away. He's somebody that I really enjoy. And so I want more out of him. And he does more than just these Dead Time story collections. He does a lot. But his narrations and stuff like that, it's just all very top notch. And I would love to see his channel just really bloom and blow up. And I think, if you're looking for some good spooky stories to listen to, like while you're just chilling, doing something, or something to watch. Like, I like to, while I'm eating, I like to watch kind of short YouTube stuff like that. That's perfect for eating dinner and just like watching his videos, and I think you'll just be sucked in. I'll of course leave a link down below, but of course, again, that's Graveyard Shift is the name of the channel, and it's his Dead Time story collection. This is what I love most, but of course, check out everything he does if you like what you see. But yeah, so on to the next thing. We're going to be talking about podcasts. There are a lot of podcasts I listen to. I listen to No Sleep. I listen to Knife Point Horror is a great podcast, like horror podcast. He does all his own original stories and stuff like that, and he does his own narration. Knife Point Horror is great. No Sleep is much more like a radio play that you're listening to, and I think that's really great. The Let's Not Meet podcast is really good. There's just so many of them out there, but there's one that I specifically want to zero in on that a lot of people that I know that listen to horror don't really listen to it very much. This is another one of those smaller end podcasts that I think is just fantastic. It's called Haunted Places Podcast. This is a great podcast that tells about spooky haunted places from around the globe. So it's places in America, it's places in Europe, it's places in Asia. It's just all around the world. They each episode of the podcast is dedicated to a specific place that is, supposedly haunted, and it goes into why it's supposedly haunted, what happened. And this is another person whose voice was built for podcasts. Like, I got this crackly voice that you don't really want to listen to, but you come for the content or something like that. But his is a voice that just, it lulls you in. It very much is it kind of relaxes you. You know, my partner, I showed this to them, and they were actually like, they want to listen to them, but they want to listen to this podcast to relax to, you know, and I know that sounds weird because it's a horror podcast, but horror doesn't always have to be like edge of your seat, like, oh my god, I'm about, my heart's about to pop. That's not always what it is. Sometimes it's just cool to hear about these spooky haunted places, and sometimes it does make your heart race. But for the most part, it's cool to hear about the history of these places. And so what they're doing this month is their 31 days of horror. They're doing a podcast for every day of the month, which is really hard to do. That's a lot of content to be churning out. And it's about the urban legends. So normally it's about haunted places, but this is about urban legends that we all know and love. And this is, again, taking places from all over the world. A lot of them, you know, kind of take place in America. I think it is an American-based podcast, but it does really get out there with some of the urban legends that he talks about. And it's just, and they do their own spin on these urban legends, because a lot of these urban legends we've heard 1,000 times before, like Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary is one that he does on here, and you know, we've heard that 1,000 times, but he does his own spin on it, and also he goes and he talks about the different histories. Like, there are a lot of different ways Bloody Mary is told. The legend of the Goat Man. I don't know if you've heard about this bridge that has a legendary Goat Man on it, who's supposed to be really scary. I'm sure you all have by this point. You know, the Mothman, Candyman, stuff like that. These are all urban legends that, you know, Haunted Places goes over this month, and they, like I said before, they put their own spin, and it's just so well done. It's something that I love to put on. I actually listen to this while I'm at work because it kind of chills me out, and it's so very easy to, like, my days just fly by listening to this podcast, because I'm so enraptured with the story that they're giving that I am just like, I'm able to do my work, and just like the day just like speeds by, and it's just so well done. And I really just have to give my respect to these people, because like normally, like I said, and it's kind of a different thing for them too, because Haunted Places is normally like, you know, they give you spooky stories about these places, but it's more just a history about the place and why it's scary. But this is the urban legend itself, like, you know, the babysitter, you know, killer, like a killer call that's coming inside the house to the babysitter, and you better watch out for your kids and stuff like that. You know, like these urban legends that we all know and love, that it's just, it's cool to see where they come from, but it's also cool to hear that story again, because I personally love urban legends. That's something that, you know, we grew up telling urban legends around a campfire. I think everybody did. Anybody who's ever been camping, you're always sitting around a fire telling scary stories, and that's what this is. And so it's just, this is the true meaning of Halloween to me. Stuff like this, scary stories like this, is what Halloween means to me personally, and I think that's why it really just, it sticks out so much to me, and I can't recommend it enough. If you're looking for, you know, a good podcast to listen to in general, Haunted Places is a great thing. I wish I'd recommended it earlier, actually. It's so late in the game, you know. For me today, it's October 21st. But the good thing about that is now you have a whole lot to catch up on, and you'll be able to catch, you know, the 9 new episodes if you decide to start listening. So there's no better time to jump in. So yeah. Again, that was the Haunted Places podcast. Next, we're going to be moving on to scary music, horror music, terrifying jams. Is that really a genre? Is spooky music a thing? It's something that I didn't know about too much. Of course, you know, stuff like, you know, Wes Craven, his Halloween franchise is good with his synth and stuff like that. It's all spooky. That's the good thing about horror movies, is the music is a big part of it. Even horror games and stuff like that, the music is a big part of it. But you don't really think about just sitting here listening to like a lot of the of like scary stories like that, right? Or like not scary stories, but scary music. But I have actually stumbled across something, and well, I mean, of course I didn't make it or anything. I'm saying I stumbled across it personally. I found something called Cryo Chamber on Bandcamp. Everybody knows what Bandcamp is. It's pretty much free-ish music. You can listen to all of it for pretty much free, but they do ask for donations. So if you don't know what Bandcamp is, that's pretty much what it is. It's not like it's not like Taylor Swift and all that is going to be on there. You're not going to find anybody big, but it's some up and comers or music that is not as mainstream as what you would normally find. Is the best way I can describe Bandcamp. Somebody might can describe it better. I'm specifically talking about something called Cryo Chamber. Again, this is something I'll link down below. But this is nothing but pretty much creepy music that sets the mood. But it's creepy music, but you'd have to hear it because it's also hauntingly beautiful. You know what I mean? It's not just like, it's not music that's gonna scare you. It's more of music that is going to set a creepy mood. This is music that I put on, like, I could see you're throwing a Halloween party, and this is something you could put over the speakers. You know, everybody wants to put on their Monster Mashes and stuff like that, but that's been done to death. This actually sets a mood for you if you want it to be actually kind of creepy. Or right now, I know me personally, I'm reading my horror stories. You know, I got my book of scary stories. I've got my scary books that I'm sitting here reading. I actually like to put this on the background on my, you know, on my Bluetooth speakers and stuff like that, and it really sets the mood for me. And I got my Halloween lights and stuff everywhere. But so like I said before, this is it's Cryo Chamber is like, I'd call it a genre. I don't think it's actually a genre, but you click on it and you're gonna see a whole bunch of different albums by different creators. That's all, you know. It might be all, maybe Cryo Chamber is the production company. I'm not actually sure. All I know is it's under the label Cryo Chamber and Bandcamp, and this just has a metric ton of chilling music that I've fallen in love with. It's all instrumental. There's no, I haven't, or it's everything that I've heard has all been instrumental, no vocals or anything like that. But it's fantastic to put on in the background and like I said, read to. And it just, I mean, I'm a freak, but I actually fall asleep to this. When I'm taking my shower, I put this stuff on. When I'm washing dishes and all, like doing my chores and like doing my clothes, I put this on because it just puts me in the spooky mood. And I love that stuff. I'm weird, so maybe this won't speak to anybody else, but if you are a true lover of all things horror, Cryo Chamber on Bandcamp is going to be something that I think that you're going to listen to year round. There's actually one album that there's a lot of albums on there that I love, but I just wanted to choose a specific one to kind of show you that you could search for on there. And if you like it, I think you're gonna like the rest. Though it's all very different. It's not all samey, like, you know, it's not all gonna be exactly like this. But this is just a sample of the amazing quality that this puts out. It's called Azathoth, Azathoth. This one is like the old ones that we spoke about last week, you know, the old Lovecraftian style horrors from deep space that we don't really understand. They're too great for us to understand. They've been around forever. These old gods. This is, like I said, this deep space old ones vibes to it, and that's what this is like. I imagine as they're just floating through space, and like this is the aura around them. What you're hearing is what I think of when I'm reading those old H.P. Lovecraft books about these things that I can't understand, about these old ones from deep space, these tentacled horrors from outer space that are slowly making their way to our planet or has already made it. You know, these things that are truly terrifying. This is the sound that surrounds it, and it's both relaxing and chilling at the same time. Again, that's Azathoth, Azathoth, You gotta at least check that out. And if you like that, then you've got so much to choose from. And like I said, it's all free. You can actually buy the albums on there, but you can actually click the album and listen to the whole thing for free if you want to. I of course have bought quite a few albums just because I want to show support to these people. I guess that's kind of the theme for this week's horror homework is shouting out the, like, we all know the Stephen Kings and stuff like that, but it's good to really like dig deep into the Halloween spirit and who's keeping this stuff alive when we're tired of reading The Shining and Pet Sematary and stuff like that. We're tired of our Draculas and Frankensteins. We've read that over and over and over. We've all seen The Conjuring 1,000 times. It's a great movie. Love The Conjuring. But we've all seen these. We've all seen Halloween or every Wes Craven movie a billion times. But it's nice to kind of find stuff that most people haven't heard of and is good quality because it's very easy to be cheesy. Easy being cheesy. Anyways. So I think that's actually a pretty good theme, now that I think about it. I didn't actually put that together till now. I don't know. My brain just works in weird ways. Most of the time my brain doesn't work at all, but sometimes it gets a cohesive thought together. And so I'm kind of proud of that, but it doesn't happen very often, so don't get used to it. So what we're going to be ending with is a couple different movies. Because you have to have your movies. This one, it's called The Woman in Black, and I think you guys might have heard of it. Maybe not. It had Daniel Radcliffe in it. Everybody knows Harry Potter. But I don't know how many people actually saw it. And one of the reasons I, for a little bit, kind of refused to watch it is because I don't like PG-13 horror movies. I think they're very cheesy most of the times. But because they cater to a younger audience most of the time. But there are many movies that prove me wrong. The Insidious movies, they're all PG-13. They're amazing. That's another one I can't recommend high enough. Drag Me to Hell, amazing. There are definitely certain PG-13 horror movies that disprove my thought process, but for the most part, I think I'm right. Like, I didn't like The Ring, I didn't like The Grudge, I didn't like The Village, I didn't like Signs, all these other PG-13 horror movies. I just don't think they're very good. But this is one that I think a lot of people saw that and was like, no thank you, or saw Daniel Radcliffe and they said, this isn't Harry Potter, no thank you. So I think a lot of people kind of turned their back on, and so did I, and I was wrong. I was 100% wrong. I was never really big into Harry Potter, so I guess it didn't mind me that this wasn't a Harry Potter, even though it had Daniel Radcliffe. I just didn't care about Daniel Radcliffe, to be honest with you. He's just not somebody that I thought about too much when this movie came out. But so as I said before, this is Daniel Radcliffe. He's playing I don't know what he is, like a banker or something like that. It's set in the it's set in the 1800s, maybe early 1900s. I'm not too sure. It's just around that time period. But he is I think, like I said, he's a banker who's trying to sell this old house that's in a marsh. It's an old rundown house, but he has to find a buyer for it. And this house is, like I said, out in the middle of this marsh that you have to take a horse and carriage out to. And once the high tide or whatever comes in, you can't get out of the house because you're surrounded by water. There's no way in or out. So you're just kind of stuck. And so that's a great setting for a horror movie when you're getting somewhere and you can't leave. Nobody can come in and help you. No, you can't leave. That's fantastic. Like that alone is just a great set piece. Also, this is a gothic horror movie, set in the olden times. If you don't know what gothic horror is, you kind of just have to look at pictures to understand what it is. But it's so well done, and the storyline is actually really good. It's about this this town that is kind of like, cursed and haunted by events that happened, and now there may be this spirit of a lady in black who is now haunting them and kind of taking their children and stuff like that. So you're trying to figure, it's kind of a mystery at the same time. You're trying to figure out, is this real? Is this not real? Is this hysteria? It's just so well done, and it's not something that's gonna jump scare you a whole bunch. It is very much a movie that is setting up dread. Like, it is a creepy movie as it goes, that it just builds and builds and builds. It's like a snowball as it goes, you know. You're immediately kind of interested, just because I think this is a very good looking movie. I love the whole setting and everything. It immediately draws my eyes towards it, and so I think it's a very easy movie to put on and just kind of relax to. This is a good movie that's actually this is a movie that is like fantastic for, it's one of those movies that is like, if you have a rainy kind of dreary day, especially, you know, in October, I think this is fantastic for. I think it's just the right amount of scary. It's not like this is one of those that I talked about before. If you've got friends and family who want to, you want to celebrate the Halloween spirit with, but aren't like, can't stand like too much like violence and gore. Again, there is no gore in this movie, so it's not like Hostel or Saw or anything like that, or your Friday the 13th. Like, this is something that is just good, creepy, and spooky, and at some parts truly scary, but also not too like gross or anything like that. And I would give this movie a solid 8 out of 10. It also has a sequel. The sequel is okay. I don't think it was too bad, but I don't think it's really worth talking about here. If you're interested in it, check out the sequel. But A Woman in Black is definitely one of my, it's definitely my top 50 horror movies. I watch a lot of horror movies, so I really do like this. I enjoy it a lot. I will be watching it within the coming week, just because it's that time of the year. And so we're going to be ending things today with a little gem that's on Netflix. Everybody has Netflix, so I do want to always find something that's easy for everybody to watch. Something on Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime. Something that at least everybody can get their hands on kind of easily. But just because it's easy to, but you say that, and a lot of those movies are like, okay, well, it's good because it's here. It's good because it's the best thing on Netflix, which, because most stuff you have to rent, most stuff you have to pay money for. Okay, it's the best thing on Hulu, it's the best thing on this. You know, you're saying this with a little asterisk beside it. This movie is not that. This movie is called The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and it is one of the best horror movies I've ever seen in my life. It came out in 2016, and ever since I've watched it every year since it came out. This is a movie that when people ask me, hey, what are some of the best horror movies that has came out that I might not have seen? What is a horror movie you recommend? Hey, I'm kind of interested in horror movies right now. What should I watch? The Autopsy of Jane Doe is always at the top of my list, because I think this movie is truly terrifying to me. To me, this movie is all about setting up dread, and that the thing that so many movies gets wrong is they think that the jump scare is the scariest part of the movie. A good horror movie knows that it's the dread. It is the what is going to happen, set me up in this situation, make me care about the characters that may or may not die. Why do I want these people to live? If I don't care about these characters, I don't care if they die. Just because they're human beings doesn't mean anything to me, to put it bluntly. I need to care about these characters. This is about a father and a son who are morticians that are doing an autopsy on a Jane Doe. A Jane Doe is somebody who, of course, I'm sure all of you know this already, but I'll explain it. A Jane Doe is somebody you don't know who they are. They're not in any records. Like, you literally don't know who this body belongs to. You don't know the name of this person. You don't know their family. You don't know anything about this Jane Doe. This corpse was dug up, and I'm trying. This is another thing that this is one of those movies that I definitely don't want to spoil. So this movie was dug up. I'm sorry. This body was dug up, and the cops don't know anything about it. And it was, if I remember correctly, I'd hate to misremember. As many times as I've seen it, I'm almost positive I'm right, but I'm pretty sure they found it in a basement of a house. And the thing about this body is it's got no sign of decay. There's no sign of decay on this body, even though it's buried. Like, that's pretty weird. You're going to find some decay. There's no telling how long it's been buried. And you're so not only do you have this creepy body that people don't know anything about and it's kind of weird, but you also have this father and son. They care about each other. This is not a bickering relationship. This is a father and son who care about each other, but this is also a son who does not want to be a mortician, and so he's also trying to have his own life outside of this. But he feels bad about leaving all this on his dad's shoulders. So there's the drama aspect going on that makes you care about the characters, and there's also the horror of this body, that more they delve into this body, the more you realize that, hey, shit has gone wrong. Something is not right about this. And it is just done so. The score of the movie, the sound design, this is a movie that it's another one of these indie projects, or not like super small. It's not a B movie. It's actually put out by IFC Midnight. They're one of my favorite. They're one of my favorite production companies, I guess you say. I think they're more of a distribution, distribute, and they're a company that distributes movies. IFC Midnight. Their IFC is also a channel, but IFC Midnight puts out some of the best horror movies. If you see the IFC Midnight logo on something, watch it. I have so far. I don't think I've ever seen anything that IFC Midnight has put out that hasn't been a great horror movie. This is one of them. Like I said, they're one of the top dogs in the industry, and these aren't movies that come out in theaters or anything like that, and that just adds more to it, because then I know, hey, when this movie gets released, I don't have to go to theaters to watch it. I can just watch it online or whatever. And so it really is, for it not to be a big AAA movie, it rivals probably any Conjuring or any big movie that's out in theaters, like, that has ever been in theaters. This is just, it oozes dread. It's so well done. And this is another movie I don't want to talk about too much, but it's all set in one location. It's all set at the mortuary or whatever you call it, where they're doing the autopsies and stuff. So you're never leaving this location. So it's a small set, but it's just so well done. And also they live. This is one of those mortuaries where they actually live up top, and then down bottom you take an elevator down, and that's where they do the autopsies and preparing the bodies and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, like, once you watch this movie, you'll be laying in bed at night and you'll be listening for like footsteps coming down your hallway. It's that kind of horror movie, and it's that good that it's gonna put you on edge. And so I can't recommend it high enough. This one might not be the one that you put on with your family and friends. That anybody that can't handle horror, I don't think this is one that you're gonna put on, because this one is kind of top tier in that level. But as far as a rating for the movie, I'd definitely give it a 9 out of 10. Again, it's just one of my favorite horror movies, and if you've never seen it, you owe it to yourself to check out The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I'm sure you've scrolled over it 100 times on Netflix, because you're like, okay, I don't even know The Autopsy of Jane Doe. What do I care about this? This just looks like nothing. Maybe it's a documentary. Go back, put on The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Do yourself that favor. You'll thank me later. But yeah, so that's going to be the end of this. That's everything that I can think of. We had our YouTuber Graveyard Shift with their Dead Time stories. Far as podcasts go and check out Haunted Places. They're doing their Urban Legends podcast this month. For creepy music, go and check out Cryo Chamber on Bandcamp. Azathoth, Azathoth is what I recommended. And as far as your movies goes, The Woman in Black. I know it used to be on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's still on there, but it'll be easy to find. It came out in like 2012, so it'll be easy to find. Woman in Black. And the last one is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. That is on Netflix right now, so there's no reason to miss that one, honestly. But if you guys have any suggestions for me, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know, because there's a lot of horror I've missed. If you know of some of these smaller movies or shows or anything like that, please let me know about it. I'd love to hear about it, and maybe I can talk about it in the final horror homework. The next one's going to be the last one. I hope you guys are excited for all this spooky stuff going on this season. I know I am. I've been having a great time hanging out with you guys over at Twitch. We've been playing some spooky games, so and I've also uploaded those here on YouTube so that you can check it out. We've been doing the Beast Inside. That's been a lot of fun, and I want to get back to that and finish that up. We did a little bit of that Resident Evil 2. That's been fun as well. But yeah, other than that, guys, I really appreciate you for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy all these things that I've recommended today, and don't forget to do your homework. And from me and Spooky Dan the Skeleton Man, I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.